50 years ago right now, Canadians were having a collective heart attack. Our hockey heroes on Team Canada were supposed to finally prove that we were the best in the world at our game. But after 5 games, the NHL All-Stars only had 1 victory, and things looked quite hopeless. We have 3 guests tonight, all of whom will take us back to what is still the greatest hockey series ever played. In Montreal, Quebec, Robbie Hart, director of the documentary Icebreaker, the 1972 Summit Series. And here in our studio, Gary J. Smith, author of Ice War Diplomat, Hockey Meets Cold War Politics at the 1972 Summit Series. And Scott Morrison is here. He is author of 1972, the series that changed hockey forever. Robbie, it's great to have you there at Trudeau Airport, where your flight just landed. We're glad you're beaming into us here on Zoom. And you two guys here in the studio, it's great to see you as well. Gary, I want to start with you because I want you to put this series into context. Our best players and their best players had been unable to play against each other for a whole bunch of reasons at this time. And I guess there was a feeling in Canada that it was enough of sending not our best to World Championships, and we really needed a chance to prove that we were the best. So how did this series start to percolate in the first place?
Well, Steve, you know, we last won the Olympics in 1952 with the Edmonton Mercuries, and the World Championships last victory for Canada, 1961, Trail Smoke Eaters. We tried and we couldn't beat the Russians because we couldn't put our best on the ice.
Because they were in the NHL.
In the NHL, and they were professionals. Mm-hmm. And the Russians, even though the Russians were part of the Red Army, or the Red Air Force, the Soviet police, and so on, they were categorized as amateurs. And the Olympic Committee and the International Ice Hockey Federation said, no, they're amateurs, you're professionals, they can't play. So how did we get around that? And we got around it because of the political context. Pierre Trudeau and Kosygin wanted to have better relations between Canada and the Soviet Union. And therefore, we signed a general exchanges agreement with sportsmen, and that enabled me to do what I could on the diplomatic front in Moscow.
Because you were our guy in Moscow.
I was in Moscow as a junior diplomat, and we were able to say, all right, let's have an exhibition series, just Canada and the Soviet Union. And that took it away from the IIHF context. We weren't going to say who was professional or who was amateur. It wasn't going to be for any trophies. There were no trophies in this series. It was just going to be the best on best.
In fact, Scott, they called it a friendship series, although it wasn't too friendly. That became pretty obvious pretty quickly. What was at stake here beyond bragging rights for hockey?
Well, I mean, the world, and I was going to say a different place, but it's really not that different now with what's been happening, obviously, with the Russians. But, you know, at the time, with the Cold War going on, there was very much this us versus them attitude. Like, the lead item on the nightly news was about an American and a Soviet playing chess, Spassky and Bobby Fischer. It was all the bragging rights that you got to boast about your political system, your way of life, that your system was better than our system. Sports was a big vehicle for that, and that's what this became, that, because in the beginning, as you mentioned, it was supposed to be this friendly. It was going to be, in our eyes, a walkover for the Canadians, 8 straight wins, and they're all going to be lopsided because we were going to show this greatness of our hockey. And then it became something much different. It was great in a much different way that nobody could have imagined going into that series. And the politics of the day became a big part of the backdrop of it.
Well, Robbie, it was supposed to be 4 games in 4 different Canadian cities and then 4 games in Moscow. And after Game 1 started, Canada went out to a 2-0 lead almost immediately. Had a 2-0 lead within 6 minutes. They ended up losing the game 7-3, blown away. What was the big takeaway from that first game?
Well, in the film, actually, you have the esteemed and very intelligent and wise Brian Conacher saying that after that Game 1, September the 2nd, 1972, hockey in the world changed forever. That's a line I remember hearing in the interview, and it stands true to this day. You know, I think all of us woke up the next day on September the 3rd, 1972, realizing that there were other people playing hockey and playing it at a very high level, and they were also playing it differently. And it was an eye-opener. It was a game changer. And I often say to people when they say, what do you take away from the Summit Series? Well, the great winner was neither Canada nor the Soviet Union. The great winner was the game of hockey.
How big a problem, Scott, was the fact that the Soviet players had played together, they're drafted into the Army. They played together all year long. They knew each other very well. Ours was a team basically of NHL All-Stars put together at the last minute. And beyond that, the guys didn't like each other very much, right?
No, it was much different back in the day. You had players from 10 different teams, and if you played for Toronto, you didn't like the guys from Montreal. If you were the Rangers, you didn't like the Bruins, and et cetera, et cetera. So it took a while for that team to come together, and it really wasn't until they got over to Sweden after the first 4 games that they started to bond, and they realized that, okay, I don't like you, you don't like me, but we're playing for this crest, and our pride is on the line, our national pride, but also the pride of us as hockey players.
We had 2 big problems, Gary. Bobby Orr, maybe the best player in the world at the time, was injured, couldn't play, and Bobby Hull was not allowed to play. What happened there?
Well, Orr, as you said, had undergone knee surgery, but he was part of the team. He traveled everywhere with the team, including in Moscow, but never played. Bobby Hull got caught up in the politics between the NHL and the new league, the World Hockey Association. And the players who left to go to the World Hockey Association, including Hull, signed $1 million contract, right? The $1 million man. And the NHL said, all those guys are excluded, Jerry Cheevers, J.C. Tremblay, and so on. So we did not field our best, actually.
And Pierre
in
Trudeau, the
1972.
Prime Minister, went to Clarence Campbell, the president of the NHL, begged for Bobby Hull to play, and?
They said no. They said no.
How do you say no to the Prime Minister?
Well, because it's a business deal, right? And they said that was the deal they had with Hockey Canada. NHL, Hockey Canada, you had to have a contract signed with the NHL by the time of the opening of training camp, August 13, at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Because you have to keep in mind, the owners of the American NHL teams, they wanted no part of this series. Canada versus Soviets, they didn't care. So to get their blessing, it had to be, you can't allow the WHA to come into it and allow those players to be showcased.
Well, let's remember here. Game 1, we get killed in Montreal. Game 2, we win in Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. Game 3 in Winnipeg, we blow a 2-goal lead, ends up a tie.
Twice we blew a 2-goal lead.
And in Vancouver for Game 4, we get booed off the ice. Our guys are booed mercilessly off the ice, and Phil Esposito gave what is widely perceived to be just an incredible interview with Johnny Esau after the game was over. Sheldon, we got a snippet of that we can play for everybody here? Let's have a look.
Every one of us guys, 35 guys that came out and played for Team Canada, we did it because we love our country and not for any other reason, no other reason. They can throw the money for the pension fund out the window. They can throw anything they want out the window. We came because we love Canada. And even though we play in the United States and we earn money in the United States, Canada is still our home, and that's the only reason we come. And I don't think it's fair that we should be booed.
Robbie, talk to us about that speech. Phil was really wearing his heart on his sleeve there. Did it have an impact on the team?
Well, it had an impact on the team, and it also had an impact on the nation. I mean, I think Canadians that heard that speech realized that the players were speaking from their heart and that they really did care about the result and that they were actually facing very tough competition. You have to remember that the Soviets had been playing and practicing for 11 months. Team Canada only got together in August, and we're not really up to speed yet to where the Soviets were. So it's true that by the time they got to Sweden and Moscow, they had already been out training and playing almost 6 weeks and were able to pick it up. And, you know, we often say that speech, Espo's speech, was like Canada's Gettysburg Address or Kennedy's speech about what you can do for your country. And he really did rally the country, and he rallied the nations, and it wasn't something that was planned. It came from the heart.
Now, Scott, what was interesting about that is lots of Canadians saw that speech. How many of the players on the team actually saw that speech?
I don't think any of them did. They weren't aware of it, and obviously you didn't have social media like you have today. And you know, the players talked about it the next day. It wasn't on the news cycle or anything like that, so they weren't really aware of it. Phil came into the room and told the guys that he really let loose on national TV and told everybody off, for lack of a better term. And so I don't know how much of an impact it had on the team itself, but I agree with Robbie. It had, I think, a huge impact on the fans, because when they got to Moscow, I mean, they were greeted with 10,000 telegrams and postcards and greetings, and of course the 3,000 fans who were real difference makers there.
I was in Vancouver I saw all 8 games and the 4 in Canada. I traveled with the Soviet team. Nobody was watching Phil Esposito after that match.
Nobody who was with the team.
Nobody with the Soviet team or with the Canadian team. None of us around the game saw that speech. It was only afterwards that it made an impact. And you know, just to scroll back to Montreal for a minute, our guys were out of shape, right? During summer, they said the exercise was getting in at 6 a.m. to your hotel, not starting to run or rolling the the window down on your car. That was your exercise. And then Harry in Montreal.
Harry Sinden, the coach.
Harry Sinden, the coach, yeah, he only put 5 defensemen out, and the Russians had 7 defensemen. It was a super hot day, and our guys tired out, lack of training, drinking beer, which you never do these days, nothing about diet. So we were at a big disadvantage. And as Scott said, these were guys from Montreal, Toronto. They didn't like each other. So coming out of Vancouver, we were down, had lost 2, 1 tied, and only 1 victory, heading to big ice. Big ice.
The European ice is wider.
Yeah, wider, and European referees as well from the IIHF.
Who were not very good. Well,
but they weren't just physically behind, too. They were mentally behind because they went into that with the attitude that this was going to be a cakewalk. And all of a sudden, you get the shocker of opening night in Montreal, and then the pressure of a nation that felt betrayed by how they were playing. To your point, Gary, is that when they got to Vancouver, that emotion was spilling over from the fan base. So they were feeling all that heat as well. So back in the day, these guys worked in the summer. They worked on their farms if they were from rural communities,
or
they
ran
had
their hockey camps.
schools where they worked. They were frontmen, pitchmen, for breweries and that type of thing. Summer wasn't for training. Summer was for earning money.
Well, one thing waiting for them, and we're going to pull another snippet here out of Robbie's documentary, one thing waiting for them when they left Canada and went to Moscow were 3,000 Canadians who somehow decided it was more important to go over there and cheer for these guys than boo them at the end of the game in Vancouver. Okay, Sheldon, let's see a snippet of this.
The Team Canada rooters over here come up with a new cheer, Foster. It's called Da Da Canada, Yet Yet Soviet.
I kept saying to myself, Da Da Canada.
Yet Soviet. And this thing filled the arena to the point the stolid Russians would look around and think, my God, who are these people? And how do they get away with this? And here were these people who had no reverence whatsoever, yelling and screaming. The Soviets, their big chant was "Shy boo, shy boo, shy boo," which was the puck, kind of an inanimate yell.
Okay, Robbie, how is it that those 3,000 fans managed to shame the, whatever it was, 11 or 12,000 Russian fans into submission in their own building?
Well, the Russian fans aren't really actually used to cheering and roaring and displaying, emotion. I mean, it wasn't the communist way of being, of behavior. And here you go, you got all these crazy Canucks, 3,000 of them in reds and whites with flags, standing and cheering, and getting caught up in the whole passion of this Summit Series. And it really was a difference maker inside Luzhniki, arena. And you have to remember that 4 of the 8 games were played on that same surface, unlike Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, and Vancouver, where so you had this synergy that developed in that building. And half the series, 50%, was played in that building, with those fans cheering and supporting and pushing them on, and it did make a difference.
There actually weren't Russian hockey fans because a Russian hockey fan couldn't get a ticket. There was the Central Committee meeting that was held during that first game, and those functionaries got the tickets. So they're all sitting on their hands. And Brezhnev, after that, he was there for Game 1 in Moscow.
The Soviet General Secretary.
Yes, Soviet General Secretary. He sees all these Canadians yelling and screaming with flags and all the Russians sitting on their hands in brown and black. So he orders the sports committee to drum up some supporters. So young women from the sports committee get out there and start the cheer of "Shy boo, shy boo." And, Robert Lewis says it's an inanimate object, but in Russian, it's a dative case. So puck means to the goal, means goal. And that was their chant against Da Da Canada, Niet Niet Soviet.
And every Canadian player you talk to about that series, the one thing they all mention is after Game 5, when they blew the lead,
They lost again, Game 5.
They lost
First game in
again.
Russia.
Now you got to run the table to win the series. But when they left the ice after that Game 5, dejected, heartbroken, the 3,000 fans stood and cheered them.
And that made a difference?
And that made a difference.
How so?
They felt like they were playing for the country. They finally felt the affection of the fan base. So much different than the Vancouver experience.
For sure. So Game 5 ends in a loss. Game 6, however, we win. Paul Henderson of the Maple Leafs scores the winning goal. Game 7, we win. Paul Henderson of the Maple Leafs scores the winning goal. So it's all tied up going into Game 8. Shall we cue the great voice of Foster Hewitt here? Go ahead, Foster, take it away.
The air in the Moscow arena here is tense as we get ready for this 8th and final game of the series. So they go into the final game all tied up. So if you have been writing the script, it couldn't have produced a more dramatic and exciting final. Tonight we are making hockey history, and the teams and fans are really up for this one.
Robbie, we saw a couple of faces of Soviet hockey players there at the end of that clip. You managed to get some guys from the Soviet Union who played in that game, in that series, to talk to you. How do they regard this series 50 years later?
Well, the three in question are Vladislav Tretiak, the legendary goaltender, Mikhailov, the captain of the team, or one of the Soviet leaders, and Alexander Yakushev. So you have three legendary Soviet-Russian players that were in '72. They look back at it as one of the greatest moments of their careers. And even though they lost, they all say to this day that it remains a friendship with Canada because of that hockey series, and that hockey was the big winner, that they learned something from us and that we learned something from them. And you look at that Game 8, and I had them watching the opening minutes on the screen there, and they're standing there stoically listening to it, and they had tears in their eyes, and they were very touched, and they were very welcoming to us as well.
Very
while
nice.
we were in Moscow.
Gary, you were at Game 8. Who'd you watch it with?
I was at Game 8. I watched it with Bobby Orr for the first period, and then I was down at the bench, and lo and behold, we're down 5-3 after the second period. And who shows up in the arena but the prima ballerina from the Bolshoi, Maya Plitsetskaya. And the night before, Team Canada had gone to the ballet to see Anna Karenina, and the players in ballet don't really go together. But Phil got up on his feet after the first act and started yelling, "Oh, bravo, bravo." And she says, "Who's that?" That's Phil Esposito from the Canadian team. So she shows up between the second and third period and says, "I want to speak to Phil." And she wishes him the best of luck. And he became Hercules on ice for the third period. And the Russian cultural community blamed her for the Soviet team's loss.
Oh, for goodness sakes. All right, Scott, I want you to put us in the dressing room after the second period, because Canada's down 5-3. Looks like a hopeless... The Soviet team has never lost a game leading by 2 goals going into the third period. What's happening in the dressing room?
There was calm. They had a confidence. They felt better about their game. After the disappointment of Game 5, as heartbroken as they were, they felt that they were finally coming together as a team. They'd shrunk the roster. Their conditioning had gotten better. Their confidence level was better. And so it grew, Game 6, Game 7. And as bad as they felt after those 2 periods, there was still a real confidence level there. And Harry Sinden, the coach, told the team, he said, "Don't go out and try to win the game in the first 5 minutes because we'll give up a goal." He says, "Get one, and then we'll just keep chipping away. And when it gets to the final 5 minutes, we're going hell-bent for leather to win this game, whether we're behind or we're tied," and that's what they did.
Actually, Phil scored in pretty soon into the third period to take us to 5-4. And don't forget, I was talking to a Soviet official, and I said, wouldn't it be a lovely diplomatic solution, an outcome to this series, if it ends in a tie? So then we each have 3 victories and 2 ties. He said, no, Gary, we win because we score 1 goal more. So I told that to Al Eagleson, and he told it to Harry and the players. So they knew they had to have 3 goals in the third period to win, not just 2. So Phil digs deep, maybe it's the ballerina, maybe not. Maybe it's the incentive to, show that we're going to get those goals. So he scores, he assists Cornway after the break, because in international hockey, you change ends right after 10 minutes.
After 10 minutes.
Yeah, and Cornway scores. And then we have the incident of the goal light not coming on.
Right. We score a goal and the light doesn't come on. And Eagleson is convinced that there's some kind of communist conspiracy here, right?
Yes.
And what happens? All hell breaks loose, Scott.
Well, Eagleson goes charging to the scorer's table and encounters the Soviet military and police and everybody else, and he's getting roughed up, and the Canadians leave the bench en masse. Even the guys in the suits are charging across the ice, and Peter Mahovlich jumps the boards, and he basically rescues them from the soldiers. And as Peter said later, he says, "Wasn't the smartest thing I've ever did. They had guns. I had a hockey stick."
Well, look, at anybody who's of a certain age is never going to forget the clip that we're about to show next. Last minute of the game, it's tied 5-all. Sheldon, you're on.
Cornway took a shot, the defense.
I remember last minute, Ivan Cornway good passes. And Vasiliev big mistake. Vasiliev stay like this to keep the puck. He goes this way. Ivan Cornway top the puck. Paul Henderson come like this.
Here's the shot. Henderson made a wild stab for it and fell.
They make a pass, shoot, they make a save.
Here's another shot, right by the score! And scores for Canada!
Henderson scores for Canada!
Henderson right in front of the net!
And the fans in the crowd are going wild.
Sean Diefenbaker there. I don't know about you guys. I'm overclimped right now hearing that again. We've seen that 1,000 times. It still goes right through you. Robbie, I got to ask you, though. You've got the goaltender who gave up 3 goals in the third period, Vladislav Tretiak, on the ice 50 years later, going through it play-by-play for your cameras. How did you convince Tretiak to do that?
But that's one of those magic golden moments that you get in documentary cinema that you can't really script or presume it's going to happen, but it did. I mean, Mr. Tretiak was terribly open and generous with his feelings, his emotions, and his access. And we were standing right there, and I said, there you were 50 years ago. Please tell me what happened. And he went into this explanation of how that goal came about. And it's history, and I think I'm the only person in the world to have gotten that story. So it's a pretty cool moment.
It is a very cool moment.
Well, the interesting thing, I was with Robbie when that was being shot in Moscow last September, and you'll see that Tretiak speaking English there.
Yes.
Broken English, which he never does. He's always speaking in Russian, but that adds to that, lovely, lovely, lovely scene.
Scott, the one question that I think nobody has been able to resolve over the years is, Paul Henderson was a very good hockey player, but he certainly wasn't one of the best hockey players in the world at the time. He scores the winning goal in games 6, 7, and 8, and would have had the winning goal in Game 5 had Team Canada not collapsed. How do you explain that?
I think, Paul was to be named to that roster, you had to be a very good player to begin with. And he came to camp. He was one of the few, he, Bobby Clark, and Ron Ellis, who were a line, and the only line that stayed together from start to finish. But they came to camp in shape, and they came to camp determined to make that team and to have an impact. And so I think they were probably better prepared than most of the players on the Canadian roster. And, Paul he'll say, I can't explain how all of a sudden I took my game to another level. But think about this, Steve, is that in Game 5, he crashed into the boards and suffered a concussion.
Right.
He was told by the medical staff and Harry Sinden, take your gear off, you're done. And he begged Harry, he said, Harry, it can't end this way. I've got to get out and play. He had a special feeling about himself and the impact he could have in that series. And he and John Ferguson had a talk leading up to that 5th game where Fergie said, if we're going to win this thing, you're going to have to be a special player. And he was.
And he sure was.
But also, Steve, that was big ice, and Henderson could fly.
Yeah.
And so that was a big advantage. So he really came into his own with the big ice. And he admits, he says that was a garbage goal, Game 8. Game 7, his goal, he goes around 2 Soviet forwards and 2 defensemen who are bringing him down, and he scores the winning goal there. And he admits, and seeing it myself in person, his goal in Game 7 really was the top.
Robbie, we're down to our last minute and change here, and I got to ask you, had this series gone the way that most Canadians thought it would go, 8 straight wins, my hunch is we're not talking about it 50 years later. The fact that it came down to the last 34 seconds, in hindsight, maybe it's better it was so hard, eh? What do you think?
Of course. I mean, when it began, no one would have predicted where it would have been 27 days later. I mean, you're looking at a whole month of September, from the 2nd to the 28th. And during those 27 days, you couldn't script the story. You couldn't actually predict how this would roll out. And it's a Hollywood story. You can't write it. I mean, but it happened. And it's as I say, the game of hockey was the big winner, because all of us learned, it took hockey to another level. And Canadians also discovered a sense of national identity, which is a big part of the film. There was a sense of pride and a sense of unity, regardless of what province you came from or your age or your language. Canadians rallied behind that experience, and it was a seminal moment in our history. And that's one of the things I think the film brings to light.
I just happen to have here, I went through the attic the other day. Sheldon, can you get a shot of that? I was 12 years old, and those are my 2 tickets for Game 2 at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto that Canada won 4-1. Peter Mahovlich scoring the most gorgeous shorthanded goal I've ever seen in my life. Here's a couple of old tickets from the Gardens as well. I'm not sure I had as good a seat as you did, Gary, but I was in the building with my brother and my parents, and I can still choke up talking about that series. It was just the greatest. With all apologies to Sidney Crosby and the Golden Goal and Gretzky to Lemieux, am I right? It's still the greatest series
Absolutely.
ever.
And it'll never be replicated.
You got that right.
I mean,
Gentlemen.
Gretzky says in the film, it was the greatest hockey that was ever played, just before the title.
Yes, he is.
And that's in the opening 3rd minute of the film. So if it's coming from Wayne directly, we know it's got to be true.
You betcha. That's Robbie Hart. Go see Icebreaker, the 1972 Summit Series, a fantastic documentary on the events of 50 years ago. Gary J. Smith, Ice War diplomat, Scott Morrison, 1972, the series that changed hockey forever. Thanks so much, guys, for this walk down memory lane. It was brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.